American Pacific Islander Nurses Association of Nevada presents Healthy Mondays with Apina of Nevada. Start the week healthy and right with interesting conversations on living a healthy lifestyle. And now, your Healthy Mondays host, Dr. Marife Aczon-Armstrong.
Aloha! Good evening. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Naimbag asardam, maayong gabi. I'm yours truly, Dr. Marife Aczon-Armstrong. Welcome to Healthy Mondays with the Apina of Nevada. I am the founding president for the Asian American Pacific Islander Nurses Association of Nevada and professor of nursing at Roseman University of Health Sciences College of Nursing. We are back on wearing our face mask, whether we are fully vaccinated or not, because the Delta virus strain is lurking worldwide. And we just have to be vigilant and cognizant of our surroundings. I still wear my face mask when I go grocery shopping, especially at Costco with all these people inside the building. And even when I'm attending church service, I still wear my face mask. So we are not quite there yet. But we are getting there closer than we think. And the key is following the protocols, including social distancing and being aware of your surroundings and knowing the signs and symptoms of the virus. Well, tonight, I don't have pink eye, but I'm wearing my sunglasses. I wonder, I'm sure you're wondering why. But I can't read my notes, so I'm going to take it off. Tonight, we have an important topic to share. Getting out and enjoying the sunshine is an essential part of our lives. July is UV Safety Awareness Month, and I know it's almost the end of July, but it's never too late to take care of yourself. During this summer, we are doing a lot of fun things, whether it's hiking, going to the beach, riding your bike, you name it. It's taking in some rays can boost your vitamin C levels also, which has demonstrated the benefit to your physical and mental health. But there's a dark side too. Direct sunlight can cause exposure to harmful UV rays, which can cause skin damage, cancer, and more. July is UV Safety Awareness Month, and however, eyes are at risk to UV rays all year round. And sunlight is not the only culprit, though. Tanning beds offer a higher dose of UV rays than sunlight. This makes it important to protect the eyes from UV rays in all situations by wearing proper eye protection, either UV blocking sunglasses or appropriate tanning goggles. So tonight, I would like to welcome our special guest tonight, who is not new to Healthy Mondays. He's going to share with us more information on how you can protect your eyes from UV rays and what are the specific consequences if you fail to protect your eyes. Welcome, Dr. Surajit Dey. It's always a pleasure having you to join us. Can you please share with us, to our listeners, about your background?
Absolutely, and welcome everyone in this evening's cast of Healthy Mondays, and thank you, Dr. Aczon-Armstrong. And by the way, everyone, to our listeners out here, my name is Dr. Surajit Dey, and I'm a professor of pharmaceutical sciences at Roseman University of Health Sciences College of Pharmacy. I've been in this profession and this position for the last about 15 years or so, and my background is in ophthalmics, and I am an ocular scientist. We deal with problems that arise from the eye. I do my research on the eye, and today's topic is very apt because July, as you know, is UV month. So we are going to be discussing today about the effects of UV rays in the eye and various consequences and how you can protect your eyes.
So thank you, Surajit. We're gonna go by first name basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So during the summer, there is usually a lot of emphasis on protecting the skin from the UV rays during the summer. But one must not forget about protecting the eyes. And the most exposure to bright sunlight increases the risk of developing cataracts, macular degeneration, growths on the eye, including cancer. And I know Surajit had mentioned in the previous episode that we have talking about protecting our eyes. You mentioned about those things. Um, I think that this would be a great opportunity for us to educate our or increase awareness to our listeners what UV rays are. Exactly what are they and why are we worried about having?
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic question. I think understanding what UV rays are is paramount to understanding what is caused by it. So UV rays are natural, non-ionizing radiation rays that are coming out of the sun, our sun, basically. And the Earth, as it is placed, we do get a lot of UV rays. Our natural source is obviously the sun, but as Dr. Armstrong mentioned before, tanning beds provide also a very constant supply of UV rays. There are some other minor sources like some halogen lamps, some mercury vapor lamps produce a little bit, but primarily you get your UV rays primarily from the sun. Now, there are really three types of UV rays. We have what we call as UVA, UVB, and UVC rays. Now, UV radiation or ultraviolet, basically, if you know the full form of UV, it's ultraviolet. It consists of these three different radiation. And these three different radiation have different wavelength. Not all are bad, but our Earth does a fantastic job in filtering some of the high ionizing radiation. So, for example, UVC, which is very, very detrimental, is actually filtered out by our Earth's ozone layer. So essentially, we don't get much UVC on Earth where we live. So that is why, again, as we will talk about this topic, you have heard that if you climb mountains, if you're a mountaineer, if you're hiking, going up elevation, you get more UV exposure there at a high altitude. Because, again, if you're on the main valley floor versus up on the hills you'll get more UV radiation. So there are three types, as I said, UVA, UVB, and UVC. UVA and UVB actually penetrates and comes down. UVC is almost entirely blocked. It is that UVB that causes the most of the problems that we see. UVA, again, is less harmful, if you want to call it. So what we want to do is protect or take out all of UVA and UVB from your eyes and by wearing proper eyeglasses. Now, I think Dr. Armstrong said before that we take care of our skin, but UV is coming everywhere. Imagine this, even in a cloudy day, you are still getting exposed to UV rays, right? So we have to protect our skin, we have to protect our face, we have to protect everywhere there is exposure, including our eyes.
That's a very common misconception, right? And a lot of times, okay, it's not sunny, then it's okay. So that you take off your sunglasses or you just don't protect yourself. Or in the Philippines, we wear umbrellas.
Umbrellas, yeah.
Yes. So over here, that's why when I see people walking around, and especially when I was in DC, some people are actually carrying umbrellas, protecting themselves. So we forget about it when that even if it's cloudy, it still go through the cloud, right?
Yes, it'll still go through the cloud. Again, it's all to do with, how much power they have, which is directly really related to their wavelength of the rays. So essentially, if the wavelengths are smaller, it can't really penetrate. If there's longer wavelength, it does penetrate. So that's why UVA and UVB would penetrate and come to the surface of the Earth, like in our valley and in our... so everyone get exposed to that UV ray. Now, as you pointed out, UV rays are beneficial, right? It is helpful in producing vitamin D, which then is helpful in absorption of calcium and phosphorus from minerals, things like that. But there is also a detrimental effect to UV rays. For example, in the skin, it causes cancer, melanoma, stuff like that. Also, sometimes dark patches and things like that. It is how it reacts with our skin cells. And in the eyes, it can cause a multitude of different diseases and conditions, which we will talk, I guess, later on.
So we are focusing on the eyes. So why is it important to protect our eyes from the UV rays?
Yeah, it is super important to protect your eyes from the UV rays because, for a fact, we have only one pair of eyes, right? I mean, in our entire lifetime, we don't get a second pair. The other things, your eyes are very, very sensitive to a lot of things. And for the most part, if something goes wrong, it really can't be changed. So, for example, one of the most common things that come out of UV ray constant exposure over long periods of time is cataract, and which is mostly age-related. So you will see that in countries where they don't use a lot of eye protection, and I'm talking about the sunglasses that I'm wearing right now. These are UVA and UVB protecting ones. I look cool and you look cool in that too. But these actually do have a benefit. So if you see in countries where they don't use sunglasses a lot, there is a high incidence of cataract formation. Cataract is actually a pretty common condition in developing countries. And in those countries, you'll see that high range of cataract happens in age-related population. So as we age, you get more and more cataract. Now, cataract is not a disease, it's more of a condition, but there is really no cure to it. The only cure is a surgery, which is constantly done. What cataract is that as UV rays constantly travel through your eye, it changes the structure of the eye, one of the eye component called the lens. It becomes more cloudy. So essentially, when you develop cataract, you feel like you're looking through a cloudy layer. So everything is blurred. So, and the physician will, I'm going to open my sunglasses. We are indoors, so, and one of the things about cataract is that it will happen, and it's a pretty easy outpatient surgery. But again, I mean, it is surgically removing a component of your eye. That's probably one of the more common things, but there are some other little bit less common but more detrimental, like macular degeneration, as you say, growths in the eye, even dry eyes. I mean, if your UV rays are constant, you can actually develop inflammation and dry eyes. So that's why it's super important always in our valley when you're leaving your home from outdoors. If you're not in a shady area, definitely wear sunglasses.
I have my neighbor, actually yesterday, my neighbor and her husband just moved from Chicago. And just recently he was having a problem with his eyes. His eyes were just all pinkish, reddish. And he works outside in the environment, and then I was hoping it's not serious, and so he went to the VA and he was told it's allergy because of the changes, because the weather in Chicago and the weather here is so different, and I think his body's not used to the environment and the humidity. I think that's the one of the factors. But one question I have when you mentioned about the cataracts, is it hereditary so that other people are more prone to having cataracts than others?
Not really. I mean, cataracts do not have a genetic component to it. There are really 4 types of cataract that happen. Mostly is age-related. There could be also cataract due to excessive drug use, means excessive medicine use happens. Sometimes cataract can happen because of trauma to the eye or nearby in the area. For example, someone is in an auto accident and there is trauma to the facial part or face and the eye area, that can develop into a cataract. So there are, but by far 90% of the cataract is developed through age, and because of constant UV rays entering the eyes. It's not really hereditary per se. It is just how you have taken care of the eyes in the past years or in your lifetime.
Okay, I'm looking at the questions that we went over. What times are the most hazardous for the UV exposure in Nevada or anywhere in the world?
That's an excellent question. And I think all our listeners here, we mostly live in a city in the Southwest, which gets lots and lots of sunlight. We have 300 plus days of sunshine a year. And the most common times where UV is the strongest is between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And that is where the sun is shining the brightest, and the UV rays are the strongest. Now, that doesn't mean that before 10 a.m. or after 4 or 5 p.m. it doesn't happen. It just is less intense.
So less exposure.
Less exposure.
Yeah.
And in the summertime, your sun's rays are directly proportional to heat as well. So that's why in the summertime it's hot. Also, you'll see that during the peak hours, during afternoon hours, UV index also goes up very high. So like 10, 11, which is like the peak index. Mm-hmm. So I would say if you can avoid direct sun exposure to your eye during these times, that would be great. Even if you're going out, driving, always wear sunglasses, and make sure you get sunglasses that are protecting to your eyes, that are UVA, UVB protecting. Not all sunglasses will do that, actually. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think if you're wearing something dark, it protects, but it's actually not true. You have to ask for, if you're going to an optometrist or a place where you're getting your eyeglasses done, please ask whether these sunglasses are actually UVA, UVB protecting.
Especially if I guess one of my question is age. You mentioned already about the cataracts that it's age related too. So those who are resisting on wearing sunglasses, I think we're hoping that this episode that we have on Healthy Mondays would encourage you to protect your eyes.
Absolutely.
Right?
All I can say, you have one pair of eyes in your lifetime. Please protect them. They're sensitive organs. And it's not only cataract, and I think I want to talk about, if it's okay, about the other diseases that happen. 2-3 other diseases. I mean, like we get, exposure to our skin, like skin cancer and melanomas, your eyes can also develop eye tumors as well because of exposure to UV rays. There are times that, sometimes inflammation or some trigger actually develops extra growth in the eye because of UV rays. So there are those instances that can also cause other eye-related disorders other than cataract. Another huge one is macular degeneration. Mm-hmm. As we look at population, getting older and older, in the sense that there are more high geriatric population in certain pockets of the country, there is a chance of getting macular degeneration, which is a degeneration of the retina. And there have been also shown to be some indirect causes of UV rays that can trigger that as well. So
it's good to know all of this. Our listeners out there, pay attention to all of these conditions and diseases that could cause could be caused by the exposure of UV rays. And I think that I wanted to go back to the hours of between 10 a.m. and 4 or 5 p.m. If you are a gardener like me, I just started gardening, I think that would be the good time to play in your garden and water your plants before 10 o'clock and then after 5 p.m. Yeah. Also, I do biking. And so, exposure to the sun, do all your activities before the intense exposure to the UV. UV rays.
We all love summer. Summer is great,
Yes.
right? I mean, it's coming out. There's lots of activities and flowers and this and that. It's fantastic. But again, with summer comes this extreme radiation that is coming out, ultraviolet radiation, and you just have to protect yourself. Just like you get sunburned when you're out there, like your skin gets burned in like under 10-15 minutes or so. So that's the same thing for your eyes as well. So protect your eyes and then just limit exposure during those hours if possible.
And in addition to sunglasses, I forgot to bring my hat.
Yeah.
I bought this nice hat when I was in Atlanta, Georgia. It's you also wear a hat in addition to your sunglasses, and wearing a broad-brimmed hat to protect your eyes. So that would be additional. I looked up things here, and you did mention about the clouds, so don't be fooled by the clouds. The sun's rays can pass through the haze in thin clouds, and then sun damage to your eyes can occur anytime during the year, so not just in summertime, right?
Exactly. And as I said, if you are a mountaineer, if you're a climber and stuff like that, you think, getting up higher in the mountains, it's cooler and it's this thing that it's okay to take off your eyeglasses. It's actually not, because the higher you go, the more exposure to UV you get. Because obviously, as we know, that some of these harmful UV rays are filtered out through through the cloud covers, through the ozone layers. But as you go higher up, you're getting exposed more and more to those. So it may look a little bit baffling that it's cold, it's snowy, maybe even in the winter time, and it might be tempting to take off your eyeglasses. Don't do it.
Yeah, the closer you are to the sun, and then you're mentioning, Surajit, about the ozone layers.
Yep.
So if you go beyond the ozone layers, then you'll have more exposure, right?
Exactly. That is absolutely correct.
Must be really high mountain there.
Yeah, I mean,
Has to be
lot
really high.
of mountaineers who climb, Mount Everest and all that stuff, they report, and you'll see that they actually wear a lot of sunscreen in their face just to block that thing. I mean, they report like sunburn up in like negative 20, negative 30 degree temperature. It happens.
Why some are all covered with long sleeves, long pants. They have their hats and
Exactly.
hoodies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to look at what else do we have here. You mentioned about the sunglasses.
Yeah.
What kind of sunglasses should I wear that will protect me from the UV exposure?
So when you go to get a sunglass, and maybe you are going out there to your optometrist's office, to your eye doctor office, and getting like a prescription sunglass or getting like normal sunglasses if you don't have a prescription, always ask them for UV protection sunglasses, and always get them from a reputed place that knows what they're doing. Your eye doctor's office, Costco, whatever, wherever you're going. The second thing is that sometimes also, which is not directly related to UV, but glare also sometimes causes problems in seeing. So I always like my UV glasses polarized.
Oh, okay.
So and again, you have to specially
Reflex.
specially ask for it. The polarized glasses, what they do is they basically filter out the reflection. So when you see, it's more crystal clear. There's no reflection from, let's say, the road, let's say the other places. It just is the glare that it cuts off. It does nothing to do with UV, but I think that's a good thing if you are getting new sunglasses. Just ask for polarization as well.
Yeah, I
But-
don't know if this is polarized. Probably not.
So
Polarized
one way to look at polarized sunglasses is that if you're driving, let's say your dashboard is reflecting, and if you're wearing polarized, you'll see that they don't reflect. It just looks like matted. The roads look matted. It's just so much different. But again, as I said, for an UV standpoint, does nothing. I'm wearing these pair of glasses are non-prescription, but these are UVA, UVB protecting polarized sunglasses. And when I normally wear my prescription sunglasses, they are also UVA, UVB protecting. So please go to your eye doctor and ask for UV protection.
I think the other things that I've looked at for our episode regarding the UV rays, we are focusing also on protecting our eyes. In addition to protecting our eyes from UV rays, there are some ways that we can protect our vision.
Mm-hmm.
It's somehow here on the research that I did that the several other ways to protect your vision is to know your family's eye health history, because that's why I asked about the cataract, if it is hereditary. So some eye conditions are hereditary and require early interventions.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's a great segue to some of the general eye health, I think I would call it. So always, at least annually, try to go to an eye doctor's office. There are so many diseases that can happen that goes unnoticed if it is not picked up early on. Macular degeneration, which I was talking about, has a hereditary component, which can be triggered by UV rays. So it can happen not by UV rays, but that can be a triggering point. Things like glaucoma can also happen as well. And sometimes we see sunburned eyes. I don't know if you have heard about that phenomenon. Sunburned eyes are basically eyes that are just red in color, and you can't look at things. It becomes very glary. It is directly an high UV exposure as well as dryness in the eyes, because the more the light is going through, the heat is going through, it is evaporating the normal tear on your eye, which causes it to dry out faster. It becomes very chapped, feels very uncomfortable. So those are some of these conditions. Normally, I would say going to an eye doctor annually is definitely a recommended thing. Follow what they're saying. If they're prescribing current pair of eyewear, meaning prescription glasses, please do get the most current pair, and just generally take care of your health. We, and as I think in the last episode I mentioned, we as our society use a lot of time looking at screen time these days, right? You have computer in the morning, I wake up, you have your phone, and then you have your laptop and you have your TV. So your eyes are constantly being bombarded with radiation and just rays and just stress and strain. So you have to give it a rest as well. So sometimes just cool water, just splashing some cold water to rinse it off, taking a little bit of a break and from all the screen time and closing your eyes. Those things help tremendously.
I one of the research that I did, it does talk about giving your eyes a rest. And then it says digital, you mentioned about the computer exposure. Digital eye strain is a growing problem, and suggests that try using the 20-20-20 rule. Throughout the day, every 20 minutes, look away from the digital devices and then focus about 20 feet in front of you for 20 seconds.
Yep.
So that's the 20-20-20 rule.
That's an excellent point. Yeah. So don't look at your screen after 20 minutes. Just move your eyes and look something far off and look for 20 seconds and come back. What it does also is it helps with the eye muscle adjustment, because you're looking constantly at closed thing, and then when you move, your eye muscles also changes to focus farther objects. And that's good to do those exercises. It helps in your overall eye vision, keeps you more agile, and not, because sometimes if you're looking at your screen for a very long time, you'll see sometimes focusing other things may look blurry. So that's a good exercise, the 20-20-20 rule.
Yeah. And I think that especially, let's not forget about our children, because children are also going to be affected by the UV rays. So we talk about the adults, the elderly, and our children also have a pair of eyes. So
Exactly.
we need to also make sure that they are protected from the UV rays. Right.
Absolutely. So put on your sunglasses to your kids as well. Again, very young child, 1-year-old, 2-year-old may not, but as long as they can walk and stuff like that, I would say give them UV protection sunglasses. They look cool, they look great, and I think they love it. I mean, there are so much kid friendly looking eyeglasses, so they'll love it too.
Yeah, and then the protective eyewear, you have your safety glasses, you have your goggles, shields when playing sports, doing home repairs. Yeah, I have to wear that too in the yard work, and even in the workplace if you have to work outside. And Surajit mentioned about and emphasizing about annual eye checkup.
Absolutely.
And especially if you have insurance coverage, take advantage of your insurance, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Because
it's free.
It's a coverage.
For most thing is preventative coverage. It's free, and do it. I mean, you'll be surprised how many eye diseases go unnoticed if you don't do an annual checkup. So you do a checkup annually for your blood work, for your blood parameters and things like that, looking at diabetes and cholesterol and all that.
The annual physical, right?
Annual physicals. So do the same thing for your eyes as well.
Yes. Don't
Absolutely.
forget. And Surajit emphasized that we only have two eyes.
Yes.
One pair of eyes.
And thank you, Dr. Armstrong. I think that is absolutely critical to do. And probably in a future episode, we will talk a little bit more about different diseases and when to check and what to look out for. But there are one of the most common disease that I see go unchecked is glaucoma. Glaucoma, for our listeners here, is an increasing pressure in the eye, and it grows so slowly. It's almost virtually unchecked. If you would not notice anything unless you go to an eye doctor and they can actually measure it. So.
And a lot of this medical condition, for our listeners out there, a lot of these conditions doesn't happen just like that. It's gradual, it is progressive, so that's why it is important to have an annual eye checkup. Take advantage of it. If you don't have insurance, there are clinics that offer free checkups, right? Especially our Medicaid population. I know there's VA clinics around here. Our the medical clinics and the vision clinic, and you can be referred to other free clinics out there.
Sure.
And as you were mentioning about all of this medical condition and medical diseases,
Disorders, yeah.
it doesn't happen right away. So that if you have annual checkup, then if it's early detection is really the key.
To intervention, yeah.
For the intervention, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have any other words of wisdom or any information for our listeners out there, how they can take care of their eyes?
Yeah, a couple of points I would say before closing out. So UV rays are real, though you can't see it. They are there. They actually are coming down all the time, especially intense more in the summer. So though we enjoy our summer, please wear even eye protection and skin protection. So remember, we all wear sunscreen, right? All those SPFs that you see. You can't really apply them to your eyes. Please do not apply sunscreen. Please do not apply sunscreen to your eyes.
Yes.
The only way to doing it is trying to put on eyeglasses or UV protecting sunglasses that you have. It can cause mostly cataract, but other diseases as well. As I said, sometimes eye tumors are formed. Sometimes little growth in the corner of the eyes. You can have red eyes, dry eyes. All of those are attributed to UV exposure, long-term UV exposure.
Those are the pigorium. What is that?
Oh,
it's a fancy name for that. That starts with a P.
Yeah,
pigorium or something.
Yeah, that is basically the glands on the top of your eyelids. So please do that. The other thing is, if you are facing any difficulty, especially in the summer months, going out, go and get an eye check done. You should do it annually, but if you have anything that is coming out of that annual thing, please take care of that. Protection of eyes is the best way to prevention of all of these things. So to prevent your eyes from getting exposure directly to the sun, definitely try to get an annual eye examination done. And trust me, I mean, if you do all of these, your eyes are going to be in excellent health. And as we also said, that it is important to take some time off from screen time and computer time and all that, and just relax your eyes.
Yes. And don't rely on contact lenses, because I can hear like, okay, I have contact lenses, so it should protect me. What do you say about that, Surajit?
That's a good point. I mean, I should have talked about it. Well, I have contact lenses right now myself. I would say that contact lenses typically are transparent and clear. There are some contact lenses that are UV protecting, but
really?
Yeah, there are newer ones. But again, it's by far very few and not very largely commercially available.
And probably they're still testing it.
They're testing it. They're probably more expensive.
Yes.
And remember, your contacts only cover the front part, the cornea of the eye. It doesn't cover the white part of the eye at all,
yes.
right? So I would say if you're wearing contact lenses, wear it, but wear sunglasses on top of it.
Wow, that's a lot of information, our listeners out there. That's a lot of information to help you protect your eyes during this summer season. I know July is the UV Awareness Month, and we're almost done with July. Can you imagine it?
I know.
We're past halfway of the year 2021. So, having said that, do you have any other words of wisdom to our listeners out there?
Protect your eyes, wear sunglasses, get your eyes checked from a doctor every year or so, and just take care of them. They are a vital organ. They are such a sensitive organ. Usually eyes, it's not like you have a broken bone and it heals. So these just take care of your eyes, and if you take care of them eyes, they will serve you for a very long time.
Yes, and I think that for those who are have lost their eyesight, I think that it's sometimes we take things for granted. We have our eyesight, we have our vision, and when we lose it, then we realize how important it is in our lives. So thank you so much, Surajit, for coming back, and I hope you will come back again with other important topics that we can share with our listeners out there. PHLB Radio, Johan, thank you for being our partners to bring this important information to our listeners out there. So remember, every Monday is a Healthy Monday. Aloha!
The Asian American Pacific Islander Nurses Association of Nevada has just brought you Healthy Mondays with Apina of Nevada.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.